What's up, everybody? Welcome to episode 15 of the End of the Bench Show. I have a guest this time. I know I've talked to you guys past two episodes just by myself. I'm sure that was mildly boring to just listen to one person. So I got Pat back with me today. Pat, what's going
What's
on,
up,
man? How
buddy?
are you?
Doing all right. How you doing?
Pretty good, pretty good. How's your we haven't really talked at all, so how's your Memorial Day?
Uh, not too bad. Hung out with Katie and her family. Just simple barbecue, nothing too crazy.
Yeah.
Probably not what a lot of people wanted to do this Memorial Day, but
No.
you got to make the best of what you can, and hopefully by 4th of July, some of this stuff starts calming down a little bit.
Yeah, that's the hope. That's my hope too. Did basically the same for Memorial Day. It like you said, it wasn't what anyone wanted, but we got one good day, if I remember correctly, weather-wise, which is good. That's all you need for the holiday.
Yeah, it was good. What, Sunday and Monday? So
Monday, I just chose mentally not to do anything. So I didn't even notice what the weather was like, to be to be honest.
yeah,
I just made a conscious decision when I woke up. I'm not going to do anything. I'm going to chill inside, and that's that. Yesterday, Pat came on a little emergency because all three leagues decided to break news at once, um, which was good. This is what we want. We don't like to just come on here and bullshit about nothing. So I want to get your take. I mean, did you see? I know you saw like the NHL and the NBA and the MLB. Obviously, we're gonna have a lot to say about the MLB. I kind of said
hmm
my piece yesterday. I want you to say yours today. But real quick, like, what did you think of the NHL? Do you think it's a good plan? Do you think it's gonna work? Et cetera, et cetera.
I think it's the best laid out plan that they can do. Honestly, whatever they can do
Yeah.
to do we have more technical difficulties? Are we good?
Yeah, you froze during that whole thing, so I don't know if you want to say it again.
Oh yeah, no, basically, all right.
I'll
Well,
try
we
to
apologize for that,
I'll
guys.
try
But
to cut it.
no,
That was very funny.
basically what I was just saying was that from what I read, it looks like it's given the circumstances, it's the best laid out plan that they could come up with.
Yeah.
Increasing it to the 24 teams, all these teams, whether they were on the bubble or had already looked like they clinched playoff spots. So it's almost in a sense, it is still. I mean, regular season coming to an end, but those teams that are on the bubble that may not have made the playoffs otherwise, now they have a chance. And with
Yeah.
this extended playoff system, they might make it. But I like it. Anything, honestly, to bring sports back. From what I read, I believe they're going to do it in two cities specifically. So
Yeah.
no teams. I don't think they're going to have any home ice advantage or anything like that. But it seems that they are going to be going back very soon. And I'm just excited to see some sports coming back because, as we'll get into with the MLB, that's not
Hmm.
looking too promising. So at least I'll be able to see my Islanders hopefully make a little bit
Yeah.
of a playoff push. They were doing well majority of the season, flushed it off a little bit towards the end, but let's see if they
Hmm.
can finish strong.
Yeah, and I think I read the same thing. Probably going to be two cities. I'd imagine they're going to do one Canada if it's allowed, because I know Canada has their own little quarantine going on right now, just like
hmm
the rest of the country and the world. But like if you're there, you have to quarantine for like 14 days or whatever. So it'd be pretty much impossible to get all that started. But I think if they can either make an exception for the NHL or it's somewhat more managed when this is all going to take place, it would be good because the Canadian dollar is also cheaper than the US dollar, so they would probably be saving money,
Yeah.
which is good. But I'm with you. I mean, it's the most exciting news for sure. Everyone was just pumped to see it, and it's something that it shows that it's able to be done, which is we're going to get into the MLB a little later, and it's going to be what is the most upsetting if the MLB doesn't happen, because leagues are clearly showing that it can be done.
Yeah, I mean, like we'll get into it, but for years I know everyone would always joke about who was like the worst commissioner in sports. A lot of people would joke that it was Goodell for a certain amount of time, and now I think Manfred easily takes the cake, and we'll get into that. But for so many years, Gary Bettman was definitely up there as one of the absolute worst commissioners that we've seen in recent memory. Then it's surprising to see him stepping up and being able to put his sport back on the ice as early as possible. So maybe he, I don't know how the fans think about him now. Maybe he gets a little bit of some credit back. But yeah, I'm excited. Finally, we get some sports back. New York teams are going to be in it. I know the Islanders would be set to play the Panthers. I don't know if I didn't check necessarily if the Rangers.
The Hurricanes.
They are. Okay, good.
Yeah.
So there you go. The two New York teams still in it. I don't know about the Devils. I really haven't looked at the specific breakdown. All right, that's fine. The two main New York teams are in it. So, at least us New York fans will have something to watch, not just sports, but local sports teams as well.
Yeah, and the Rangers, I think, went 4-0 against the Hurricanes this year. And the Hurricanes were one of the two teams that voted against this this proposal from the league. So obviously they're scared of playing the Rangers,
that's what it seems like.
Which is fantastic. Let's just jump right into the MLB because the NBA is more just it's not even really set in stone. Like Adam Silver's sent out a survey to GMs. They're having a board of governors meeting on Friday, and Woj reported today that even though like all these surveys have been sent, there's really no consensus of like a decision being made on Friday at this meeting. Yeah. It's more of just like it's more of a precursor for Silver, like to give the guys time to like review everything, and then he's gonna like really pitch everything at the meeting. But there's not really gonna be a set decision. So I just want to go right into baseball really because that's the shit show. That's where I went off yesterday, and I want to give you the floor because you are more or less our main baseball guy on the show that I have on. And I mean, I know you're very passionate about it. I know you probably wanted to come on yesterday. So the floor is yours. It's sat, for a little. You weren't like, right away, but maybe that's good or maybe that's bad. What do you think?
Yeah. Basically, the way I'm seeing it is we are, I would say, I mean, I'm no expert, clearly, but I'd say about 90% that we're probably not going to have a season with this new proposal. I mean, the cutting of player salaries, top-paid player salaries, for basically 60 to 70%, almost a third of a player's salary. Like, for example, Jeff Passan looks like he broke it down perfectly on Twitter. He's a great follow for any baseball fans who aren't, following any baseball reporters. Jeff Passan is definitely one of the top
You're
guys.
Not a baseball fan if you don't follow Jeff Passan.
I agree.
Now.
I agree. So he broke down some of the numbers, and a player full year who would been making $5 million, his salary would be expected to drop to about $1.6 million. Guys, I don't know, like Mike Trout, Max Scherzer, guys who are making the top money, around 35 million, there would jump just under $8 million for the year, based on the the 82 game schedule that they would have anticipated. And it's not. Here's the thing. It all comes down to what the players had initially agreed on in March. Was the prorated salaries. They were all for that. The union agreed. The players, were like, all right, that's fine. It makes sense. We'll get paid based on the number of games we're playing. But what came into effect apparently was that, the no fans, which would take about 40% of revenue away from the owners. So then they proposed the revenue sharing plan, which was the first no-no. Then they come back with this plan. I know a lot of people, and then I know there are people out there who are, pissed at the players, thinking like, "Oh, boo-hoo, you're gonna make, $1 million instead of $5 million or whatever like that." That's not necessarily the point. You have to look at it and look at it. You got to look at it as like an industry standard. These guys, as part of a union, they had agreed upon a salary, that was given. They were set to go with that, and then the owners trying to save as much money as they can, decide to try and take more money out of the players' pockets. I don't know how many. I don't get how people will side with a billionaire owner who can take a bigger loss than a player. I mean, who's still making millions of dollars for the most part, but why did they have to get that pay cut? I mean, you wouldn't agree with that at pretty much any other job, where the owner, makes so much money, and then now as an employee, you have to do, the same amount of work or a little cutback work in a certain environment, and now you're going to get paid 1/3 of your salary. I mean, it's just it just comes down to just the agreement, the initial agreement they had, and then the MLB and the owners are doing everything they can to try and undercut the players so that way they're not losing money out of their pocket.
Yeah.
And it's insane. I mean, the players, I have seen player reactions on Twitter. A lot of them are pissed. They're upset. They're disappointed. A lot of them just want to get back out on the field, but they don't think they should have to take the risk of losing a majority of their contracted salary when the owners were basically doing whatever they can to not lose, a dime in a sense. I mean, in terms of how much they would actually lose, them being the billionaires they are. It's just insane. So I really don't think we're going to see baseball this year. It really is sad unless they can come to some sort of agreement. I mean, of course, the health standards and everything like that, safety issues are another big thing. But everything that we're reading, it's all financially based, and it's just nuts. It really is. And again, you got to look at it like, would you do your job for 1/3 of the salary given the circumstances that you have? I mean, no, I don't really know anybody who's going to agree to do their job for 1/3 of the salary they were initially guaranteed.
Me neither. I mean, there are people who don't want to do their job for their full salary, so I can
exactly. And again, it comes. A lot of people will say, "Oh, they're millionaires already. Just shut up, go out there and play. I would play for nothing if it means getting a big." Okay, but
you wouldn't.
That's for your entertainment value. You got to remember they're not necessarily there to entertain you. This is their job too. So like they're given the same right you are at your job in terms of your salary and everything like that. Do I think a lot of these guys make a shit ton of money that otherwise they don't not necessarily need, but like could live without? Absolutely. But that's not the point that we're getting at. The point is they had an agreed upon settlement. The owners try to finagle that so that way they didn't lose more money. And the players are pissed. It's simple as that. And it's going to be heartbreaking to not have baseball this summer, but it really does seem like we are heading that way.
Yeah. So I want to touch on a couple things. So you said Mike Trout, Passan said he'd make like $8 million instead of 35.
Yeah, something like that. The exact numbers that Passan gave out, and anyone, again, go follow him, at Jeff Passan. A $35 million full-year salary. The proposal would get him paid $7.84 million.
Okay, so he'd be losing 77% of his salary.
Exactly. Best player in baseball. The guy who's literally the best player on the planet would get paid that much. And again, $8 million is a lot of money. A lot of people argue guy playing baseball for $35 million a year is ridiculous. Not the point we're getting at here. The point is he had an agreed upon salary. Even if it was prorated based on the number of games he'd be playing, he'd still be making close to 17 or so, whatever.
What if it was going to be half?
Yeah, half of that. Now they're cutting it even more. So that's why players are pissed. And I would just hope that more people would see it in terms of the players than the owners. And I think that's what really annoys me, how there's so many people, so many fans who are just like, shut up and play. Again, you're not going to do your job for 1/3 of your salary. So they're not going to do their job for 1/3 of theirs when they already had an agreed upon financial stipulation. So it's as simple as that.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think like what we get into when we talk about like players and the money they make and everyone's like, oh, I mean, you're still making millions, and like you said, that's not the point because the player that's making, let's just use round numbers, making $1 million a year, has made a life for himself based on that salary. So like just because baseball stopped does not mean he doesn't have the house he's paying for or all
Hmm.
like your bills don't go away. Like these are things that everyone is seeing. And just because you have a lot of money does not mean those bills don't matter. It typically means those bills are more expensive.
Right.
So I mean I
The
don't and
cost
I
of
don't want to
living for
talk
these guys
yeah,
are way more than the average American.
right.
I mean, they kind of did that to themselves, but again, they're getting paid a certain amount of money. I think they're allowed to live the life the way they want, and
Right.
they are
They
allowed to continue to
yeah.
receive the salary that they were given, so they can continue that lifestyle.
Yeah, I mean they did it to themselves, but you're absolutely right. Like they earned the right to do that to themselves. And almost anyone in the world, if they were given that kind of salary, would do the same exact thing. So I don't want to be
Absolutely.
hypocrites. I know me and you aren't, but so Pat, do you think this proposal got worse or was it better than the one that was originally reported when it was going to be like a 50-50 split and basically establish a salary cap?
Uh,
Because I know the answer, but I want you to.
I mean, it seems like even in this sense, they're still trying to cut even more of a player's salary. Owners are still trying to do whatever they can to help their bottom line. So
Mhm.
I would say, if anything, it's probably worse.
It is worse because Trevor Plouffe on Talking Baseball said that with the sliding scale proposal, which is what this is, where the top players get a bigger cut,
Right.
and cut meaning like pay decrease,
Right.
the players actually stand to make 42% of the revenue instead of 50. So the first proposal that got laughed at for being too little money to the players
Mm-hmm.
got worse because they got offered essentially less
Yeah.
than that, and they pit all the players against each other. Like, could you imagine if this was actually like what do you think that meeting was like if the players got together and you got like half the players who like in all honesty this is still bad for but it's closer to normal than the top players.
Mm-hmm.
Like what's that meeting like you got all the heavy hitters over on one side being like fuck you guys and all the little guys on one side be like no this is like good you got to help us out because I don't envy anyone in that meeting and
Yeah.
I can't imagine it getting much worse, which I guess is a good thing, but it's hard to see it getting like a whole lot better in such a short amount of time that we need
I,
it to happen.
I just don't know what other proposal could come up that both sides are gonna adamantly agree upon. Like, it seems that the owners are still gonna do whatever they can to help their bottom line.
Yeah.
The players are not willing to sacrifice more than they have to in order to do that. So I just don't see them coming to any sort of compromise, any sort of agreement, which
Yeah,
sucks.
I
But
think
I mean,
no, go ahead, finish.
no. Ultimately, they are afforded these rights. They do have this union for a reason. Um, like most other jobs in America and such, the union is there to protect you, to protect your salary, to protect, the money you're making, everything like that. So I'll give the union their credit there because that's exactly what they're doing for the players right now. And the owners are just like, you know, they're kind of getting like, oh my God, why aren't they just going to accept these things? But ultimately, because they don't want
Yeah.
to lose the money that you're telling them they have to lose. So,
Yeah.
uh, it's a mess. Rob Manfred just continues to make things worse. It seems. I mean, we all know why he has the job. Just you look what he's trying to do for these owners.
Mm-hmm.
But he I think has easily taken the cake as the worst GM in the four major sports.
Without a
Um,
doubt.
that started like the second he became commissioner with all the rule changes that he came up with and all. And it's another big thing for me is like how much this is going to affect the CBA that is expected to expire next year.
Yeah.
If the players agree to what the owners say, then it seems like the owners are going to have that leverage going into these new CBA talks, which is only going to lead to something worse in terms of, a potential strike, which I still think we could see. I don't think it's necessarily going to happen, but anything is possible.
I think
We
it's
saw what
almost
happened.
definite.
We saw what happened in '94, and how baseball basically went under for a couple of years until Sosa and McGuire and the whole steroid era basically saved baseball. I don't want to see that happen again. So the players are doing whatever they can to make sure that they get what they can now, and the CBA is a very good agreed upon, and things can continue as normal, so we don't have to have another potential work stoppage in the future. I think that's another thing people aren't realizing, that CBA expires next year.
Yep.
The players don't want to lose the leverage heading into the negotiations for that next year. So yeah, they're going to fight hard for whatever they can now. If it means having to take a year off, I think they are willing to do that and then just get right back to work next year.
Yeah, I think what it'll come down to is I see like some sort of prorated salary, something that they already did agree to, and then the rest of it would be kind of in deferments to a later date. Maybe the players can get some interest rate out of it too. I think something like that is probably where we're headed, but I don't know. Like I said, like they want to start, July 1 or July 4th, whatever. They still have to have spring training. And we're recording today. It's May 27th. And I said this last night, when I recorded by myself, I was like, we're just simply at some point, it's going to have to be like, we're out of time. And we just
basically the way that I'm seeing it is within, I think by June 12th or June 13th, the latest. So the end of that following week, that's the latest that we can, that not we necessarily, they can come to an agreement.
We'll be in the meeting.
That they can come into an agreement. So, that gives you roughly, let's say they get the agreement on the 12th, which would be a Friday. Yeah, they get, a 2-week spring training potentially started, or the middle of that next week. That still gives them the 2 weeks, and it kind of puts them online for a July 4th weekend start. But if something's not done within these next 2 weeks, I think that's it. I think literally that would be it for a 2020 season. Because you can't play anything less than 82 games. I don't see how that would even be fun as a baseball fan. I don't want to see 60 games played necessarily. I didn't really want anything less than 100, but I'll take the 82. Yeah. It's a split even half a season. But anything less than the 82 is just not going to happen. Simple as that.
Agree. And I don't want to argue with you on this because we're saying the same thing. But like yesterday was the 26th, and I think like that the first proposal was 2 weeks earlier. I think, because that's when we had Perk on, right? We had Perk on like the 13th or something, I think.
Yeah. It's been about 2 weeks, I think, since that first proposal. And then that was immediately shut down. So.
And then the week you're talking about, right? So it got shut down. 2 weeks later, deal gets worse, or the proposal gets worse. And then 2 weeks later from today is the week you're talking about. I just feel like the MLB is showing that that's like not enough time for them to put something decent together here.
Yeah, it's just making things worse. And again, my absolute last word on it is I don't think we're going to have baseball. I just don't think we're losing time, and the proposals seem to be getting worse and worse. The players are, I think they're really willing to sit it out. They don't want to, but if it means, protecting the contracts that they initially had, I think they'll be willing to forego a year and then just get the ball rolling. Again, late February, early March next year.
So something I said last night, Pat, because when I'm talking to myself on these, I find it kind of hard to like play devil's advocate, but I did last night. So I don't know if you listened. If you didn't, I'm not offended, but because I know you're going to listen eventually. What do you think of the fact that, and I don't want to say fact because it may not be a fact, but we do not hear as fans like a counter from the players. Like all we hear are, proposals from the owners, as shitty as they may be. The players are like, no, this fucking sucks. And then we wait for more news. But like, do you put like any onus on the players to like actually make a counter or like to say something besides, no, this sucks or this isn't going to work?
I'd assume that they would, but
I really don't. I really don't assume that.
They're not the ones coming up with the proposal. The proposal has to be agreed upon. I mean, it's brought up by the league, and then the union has to agree with it.
Yeah, but it's all a negotiation.
They could come up with a counter, but I mean,
they have to work together, and they're just not working. They're clearly not working.
Exactly.
So
the best way the best way to move forward is exactly you have to have a compromise. You have to be able to work together, and it's just not happening. Yeah, the players and the union can come back with some sort of counter offer,
Mm-hmm.
but I don't know if like you said, I don't know if they have. I think the ultimate word from them, the counter offer from them, is that no to the revenue sharing. We had the agreed upon prorated salary,
Mm-hmm.
and no to this new proposal because now you're just cutting our guys' salaries even more.
Yeah.
So it doesn't seem like they're necessarily having a back and forth rebuttal. But I mean, we don't know. I mean, I don't think we really hear much except players' reactions in terms of what they're hearing. I don't think I've seen, and then we'll hear every now and then we'll hear from Tony Clark, the players' union president, and sometimes we'll hear from some of the owners, not owners,
Mm-hmm.
excuse me, agents that are representing the players. Yeah, I don't think we really hear much in terms of counter offers. You'd hope that there is some, but I guess we don't really know as fans.
Yeah, but I just feel like I agree that we don't know, but I feel like with social media being how it is and like the players seeing how the owners are using the media to pit like everyone against the players, like the
Mm-hmm.
players could easily do the same thing. So I feel like if they actually made counter offers and they were actually like trying to be productive in these meetings, that we would know that. Maybe it wouldn't be right, but we would hear something, you know?
I mean, I'm sure they've given ideas of what to do, but when it comes to like the money part of it, the players have their words, but they really got to let their agents and the numbers guys, backing them really do the talking there. I mean,
I
a player
guess.
will, for the most part, players just gonna be like, oh, I want my salary. I think it was lucky that they even agreed to that prorated salary, and then to go backwards and try and cut them off a little more, that was just digging a deeper hole in terms of how the owners did.
Yeah. I mean, that's true. I mean, there's not like a right or wrong take on this really. Like I just got like annoyed as I was talking last night and I was like shitting on the owners and the like I told you before, John Heyman had a tweet that was since deleted because he named a MLB spokesperson and the tweet said like we look forward to hearing a responsive proposal from the MLBPA and it just made me think like, oh yeah, why haven't I heard anything from the MLBPA about like how they want to do it? But I mean, regardless, Dallas Braden sums it up very well, Pat. He said, I have seen better proposals on the Jumbotron.
Shit, that's great. I didn't even see that. I actually do follow Dallas Braden too.
I heard that right before we
That's a
came
good
on.
one.
So it was definitely.
Yeah, I mean, you're gonna see guys like him and guys like Trevor Plouffe and all these retired guys who do have this social media presence. They're gonna, express their opinions, and I'm pretty sure all their opinions are gonna be the same. And basically, how this proposal is just garbage.
Yeah, it's not good. You know what's not garbage, Pat?
Mm.
Have this new segment that we're going to run today for the first time. It is called This Is Dumb. And we were texting today because, as always, I have like this great idea for this segment. And I was like getting ready. I was like writing everything down. And I was like, oh, I didn't make a name for it. So I texted you and you didn't have a bad one. But then I got this email because I was working too fucking hard as always, but I was working, and I have this folder in my inbox when I get stupid shit that I don't need or like just makes me laugh or whatever, and it's called the This Is Dumb folder, and it's like an inside joke between me and like all my coworkers because it is not a secret to like anyone in this company that I have that folder. So we are gonna make a segment called This Is Dumb, and basically I teased it a little last night. I get tons of alerts throughout the day, throughout the week, just like you do, Pat. Just like
Oh yes.
I'm sure, I mean, being a sports podcast, most of, if not all of our listeners get probably the same alerts, honestly. So it's going to be a pretty good interactive segment.
Oh yes.
And we're gonna be mentioning the alerts that we got, just like a few that we read and like say to ourselves or say out loud, why the fuck do I care? Number one. No shit, Sherlock. Number two, And 3, who the fuck cares? Which is basically the same thing as number 1, but whatever. So the first one that we're gonna do today, Pat, and this isn't like that recent. I think I saw this like over the weekend or whatever. LaMelo Ball. He is Lonzo Ball's brother.
Yes.
Fairly famous teenager, which is fucking insane. But excuse me. He decided not to go to college, so he went pro in Australia, and he's gonna enter the 2020 NBA draft, whenever the hell that is this year, probably September, and he's probably gonna go within the top 5. Will be very conservative. He'll probably go top 3. He could even go number 1, to be completely honest. So he is quoted by GQ, because he did an interview with GQ in Australia, which I don't know why like GQ it seems like GQ gets all these like weird interviews with professional or semi-professional.
Yeah, I've noticed that too.
It's like, it's so fucking weird, and it has like pictures of him on the article, and it like lists the price for everything he's wearing, and he's not wearing an outfit for less than like $5,000 in each picture. It's fucking insane. But the alert I got was, where is it? 15 years from now, I want to be the best ever to play the game. End quote. So, Pat, is that like something that I need to read or see or be told at all?
Simple answer: no.
No, because I expect you to want to be the best to ever play the game. I don't
not even
care.
that. Like, all right, so we're getting into this, and we'll go over through some of it, but basically what I want these updates for from ESPN, Bleacher Report, whatever it is, well, maybe more ESPN, I just want breaking news that pertains to what's going on right now. Stuff like that, it's not breaking news to me. And then, like you said, yeah, I want to be the best ever. Everybody who plays a professional sport, their goal ultimately is to want to be one of the better players to ever play the game. It's not newsworthy. I mean, yeah, it's a nice little tidbit quote that you could tweet out, but that's not something that's going to render immediately some sort of breaking news alert. So yeah, I mean, no, like we don't need to get that as a pop up. That's just pointless.
I have the GQ article up right now. So it says like the quote, and then the last sentence, which is the sentence immediately after the quote, says, "Maybe then the doubters will be satisfied." I'm going to tell you something, Pat. If it takes you being the best ever for doubters to be satisfied, then I don't really understand how good you are now, which is weird for me to say because I know he is very good. He's going to be well warranted the top pick in the draft. But like, you don't have to be the best ever to satisfy your doubters. All you have to do is do better than they thought.
Yeah, all you got to do is exceed your own expectations. You don't have to go out there and be the your goal is to be the best guy to ever step foot on the court or the field or anything, but you just got to exceed everyone's expectations of you, and all those doubters will shut up. It's simple as that.
And he's in a shitty draft class, so he's going to be more likely than not, he'll end up being one of the better players from that draft class anyway. But yeah, like, I saw it and I literally just like, I threw my phone. I was having like a bad day or something for some reason. And I was like, I don't fucking need this shit. Like, I don't care about any of the Ball family. I think that's part of the problem also, is that I do not really care about the Balls.
They haven't really been prominent though as of late because, LeVar, whatever the fuck his name is, finally shut up for a certain amount of time.
Well, it's because Alonzo isn't wearing his sneakers anymore.
Yeah, that's true too. Yeah, I mean, the Big Baller brand. Is that even still a brand? Like, is that still around?
How good could it be if your own fucking son won't wear it?
Yeah, that's true too.
Like, Alonzo had to change his shoes every quarter when he wore Big Baller brand because his feet would be destroyed. Just to a quarter. And he was a rookie. He wasn't even playing that much.
He was trying to sell them. He was trying to sell them for what, like $300 or something like that?
Probably.
Like,
Probably more. I wouldn't be surprised.
Insane amount of money, and your star athlete, quote unquote, like your big guy, isn't like refusing to wear it. Yeah, your son. Yeah, excuse me, your
Your
son
son,
is refusing
not a
to wear
big
them. So
guy.
what does that tell you about your brand? Like that's pretty bad.
I don't get it. I mean, look, I hope LaMelo has a great career. Um, I hope he's a Knick, to be completely honest, because I do watch like YouTube clips of him now, and I think I would like him being a local guy, so I could watch more of him. And I'm not root for the Knicks, obviously, but at least it'll give me something fun to watch. Right now we have the Nets, so like when they're healthy, I could watch Kyrie and Kevin Durant like basically every night, which is cool. And I kind of want that to be LaMelo Ball, but that's pretty high expectations. Um, so that's that one. So I think Pat, that gives. I wanted to start with that one because I think that gives the fans like a pretty good idea of the awards that we're gonna be talking about. Whether I'm do the segment with you or by myself or someone else. Um, I think that's a pretty good starting off point. The next one is I want to preface, Pat. Did you watch The Last Dance at all? Because we never talked about it with you.
I watched the first couple episodes. I know it's on the app. I
It's
haven't had a
on
chance to
Netflix
watch
too
the
now.
rest of it. It is on Netflix too. All right, cool.
Hmm.
No, I watched the first 2, 3 episodes.
Yeah,
But I am looking forward to finishing it off though.
yeah. I mean, it was incredible. I thought we had a whole recap episode with Cassidy. Um, it was amazing, and it sparked the question of, what who's the next athlete that you would like to see a documentary about, similar to MJ in The Last Dance. And I will tell you, not the last person on my mind, but pretty close to the last person on my mind was Tom Brady.
Okay,
And
that's a good one.
Tom Brady is getting his own next year by
Mm-hmm.
ESPN.
I did see
It's
that.
called Man in the Arena, which is the stupidest fucking title I've ever heard in my life because it
Yeah, that's dumb. Yeah, they could have done a
literally means
lot.
nothing. It means nothing.
Yeah.
Literally nothing. It's probably only going to be about his time with the Patriots because the producer did an interview with NBC Sports Boston, and he said it's pretty unlikely that the season with the Buccaneers will even be covered like at all, which I guess makes sense from like a production standpoint. But I don't know, Pat. Maybe because we're both Giant fans, Giant fans, Jesus Christ. Maybe because we're both Jet fans, we just don't like Tom Brady more than other people don't like Tom Brady.
Yeah.
But I literally could care less about this doc.
Yeah, I mean, for a guy who's still playing,
Well, that's another problem. Yeah,
it doesn't draw a lot of interest from me. Maybe if it was he had just retired or anything like that, I know it's all going to be about his Patriots legacy. But he's still playing, so it kind of like it doesn't spark my interest, at least not until after
yeah.
he's completely done. That's just how I would see it.
I also just don't think people like Tom Brady.
I don't
Like,
think.
I just don't. Like, maybe it's because we
Yeah,
live in New York, but I really don't think people like Tom Brady, if unless you're a Patriot fan.
I mean, I don't know anything outside of New York really, so I don't know how like teams down fans down south or out west or anything like that feel. So I only know what we in the tri-state area or New York
Yeah.
area know, and that pretty much everyone hates Tom Brady. I do think he's worthy of a documentary, just not while he's still playing. I
Yeah,
think it's something. And actually, to be fair, I think the documentary should be about him and Belichick together more than just Brady.
I was just gonna say that if this was like, because ESPN did that one, um, I think maybe a few years ago, probably at this point, where they did the two Toms, no, not the two Bills, did Belichick and Parcells like together.
Yeah.
I would definitely watch this if it was Tom and Bill, like side by side in the same room, like recapping everything and seeing like both sides and have them
Mm-hmm.
like, because I think that there was definitely tension between the two, definitely friction, definitely animosity towards the end, more likely than not in my mind.
Yeah.
And I would sign on for that because that would be drama. But like, what are you going to show me? Because if this is just going to be Tom Brady's perspective on Spygate and Deflategate, and all of his Super Bowl rings and his comebacks and how the kicker saved his ass. You know, like I don't want to watch that like at all.
Yeah. No, I mean, I don't know. I mean, if for me, it comes down to he's still a player. It doesn't matter to me. You know, maybe once he's retired and they were to do something, I would have watched. Because why not?
Yeah.
Get a little inside look. But right now, I have no interest in watching that. I mean, the Jordan, the Last Dance was what 20-something years after it happened. I mean, that's an impact. That's something people want to watch. So maybe if it was done more down the line, then yeah, it would be a little bit more enticing. But right now, I'm not really into it.
Yeah, that's basically the main problem. Is he's still playing, so it's not old enough. It's too fresh. No one likes Tom Brady because he's a pretty boy bitch. And fuck the Patriots and fuck the Super Bowls that they won and all of their cheating scandals that they got away with. So that's where I'm at with that. I knew we were going to be on the same page with it, so that's why we kind of ended with it, because we usually end on bad notes, Pat, and I don't like ending on bad notes. Something I have to work on is we have to end happier, and I think this segment will do that. That's my goal. That's my goal. I don't want to be the end of the bench show where, you know, all hopes and dreams come to die at the end of the episode. I want to be.
I think we have a pretty good content and shows going on, so I don't think anyone can really complain about our stuff, you know.
And we made a slogan. I made a slogan today because it's not going to be on the monthly supporter shirts, which kind of sucks, but you know. It is what it is. It's going to be on our hosting shirts, and the slogan is "The End of the Bench Show, Where the Fans Go." And I googled it. Beautiful. No one uses "Where the Fans Go," so there's going to be no problems there. I also don't think it'll reach the hand of anyone who uses that anyway. Not that.
Hey, have faith, man. You never know. You just never know how far we can travel.
It's only gonna be me and you with the shirt. So unless you run into famous people on a regular basis that I'm not aware of, I don't think I have to worry.
I mean, we all have Twitter for a reason. Twitter, social media. We can contact any famous person we want, technically.
Yeah, that's true. So
the golden age of social media is upon us. We can get in touch with pretty much anybody in the world.
Yeah. What did you text me? I don't understand. Should I not read this on the air?
Yeah, that's something just for you and me, man.
Oh, okay. Sorry. So that's the new segment. It's called This Is Dumb. If you guys see an alert that is dumb, that makes you go like, what the fuck is this? Send it to us. Put it in a mailbag. Email it to us, underthebenchwriting@gmail.com. DM us, Instagram at @the_underbench, Twitter at @EOTB, whatever works, however you want to get it to us is fine by me. Pat, we're gonna wrap it up there. As always, rate, review, subscribe. It really helps us out wherever you listen or watch. If you want to support the show, the link is in all podcast descriptions. Half your money goes to No Kid Hungry, and you also get a t-shirt eventually. It's going to be mid-June. But they're really cool shirts. You guys are going to love them. I posted on Instagram if you want to see what they look like. And with that, we're out. Pat, take it easy, man.
Yeah. No, actually, can I just get one more quick shout out in here?
Okay.
Just want to do a quick shout out to happy birthday to my big bro, Nick. Big 32. Yeah, he's my big bro, but he's really my little bro because I basically tower over him. Me being the tallest in my family, shockingly. And I'm not even that tall. Goes to show you how small my family is. Happy birthday, brother. I love you. And I know that you are a supporter of this cast, this podcast. So God bless you. Hope you're having a nice quarantine birthday.
Yes. Happy birthday, Nick. Pat, I now understand the text you sent me, so that's good.
Yes.
All right. See you later, guys. Pat, take it easy.
Take care, buddy.